particular season, the turnovers have been big. When Miami beat Buffalo in Buffalo, Buffalo turned the ball over 5 times. When Buffalo beat Miami in Miami, the Dolphins turned the ball over. The last thing the coaches told us in our meetings with them, the turnover should determine the outcome of this game.
The Bills have won the toss, so we'll see Kelly at the start. Kelly and Reich are roommates, and when you talk about the good soldier and a team player, a complimentary player, how about Reich? Not one negative word about the decision, even though he obviously would love to be the starter today. What a job he did. He stands in reserve. But to repeat, Marv Levy said that Reich would play basically only in an emergency. If Kelly even has a bad game, he does not yank his quarterback. The Bills victorious here at midseason 26-20 after Miami won in Buffalo early in the year and won impressively 37-10. Pete Stoyanovich. And oh, how those place kickers, and they're two of the best in the league, Stoyanovich of Miami and Steve Christie of the Buffalo Bills. Those two might well be in the center stage in the main spotlight before this day is over. Stoyanovich before 74,000, the biggest crowd in Joe Robbie Stadium history other than the Super Bowl. He sends a dying spiral kick taken by Kenneth Davis, the Texas Tornado they called him at TCU, and he comes to ground at the 25. Roosevelt Collins tackler Jim Kelly in that hurry-up offense. Wolford and Ballard top and bottom, the two tackles on their way to the Pro Bowl. This is a big, tough line. Richard Hull and Parker as well. Thurman Thomas led the league in scrimmage yards. Gardner the blocker. Lofton and Reed outside. Metzler's the tight end. When they go to 3 wide, Don Beebe replaces the fullback. Beebe is in there now. Thomas with Kelly, who starts in the shotgun. Thomas playing with a painful groin injury, gains 1. Marco Coleman, one of those rookies in Shula's defense, making the stop. Played at Georgia Tech, was a first-round pick, as was Troy Vincent, the cornerback. Over the middle to the tight end, and Metzelars has about 5 at the 31. Lippert Hobley, an extra defensive back, coming up to make the stop.
Dick, one of the things this hurry-up offense with the 3 wide receivers does to the defense, it forces them into nickel. Metzelars, the tight end, has had some big games for Buffalo, but not against Miami.
On 3rd and 3, Kelly. Bad knee and all on the scramble. It'll be very close to the first down. Nose tackle Chuck Klingbeil traversing for the stop. And they will measure.
Dick, I always marvel at an athlete like Jim Kelly, out for 2.5 weeks with a knee injury. The first instance to make a big 3rd down conversion, he is more than willing to run the football for it.
The crowd will tell you on this one. First down. The NFL in total scrimmage yards, breaking a mark set by Jim Brown.
We were told by Buffalo that Thurman Thomas was nursed this week, nursed along very gingerly. He did not do much running or carrying the ball, just trying to get himself healthy for this game.
He milked out 5 on that first down carry. Wide open is Reed, but the pass too tall. On the coverage, Stephen Braggs. Braggs, 36, a free agent pickup. Was signed, released, and re-signed by Miami.
Saw a blitz coming here, an early blitz by Buffalo. Saw Andre Reed coming in motion. Excellent pickup by Ken Hall. Dick, I attribute that overthrow to nerves. Kelly's not played now in 2 weeks. It's his first playoff game.
The screen to Thomas on 3rd and 5. He has the first down and more. All the way to the Miami 41. Braggs made the tackle. 19 yards on the play. Thomas so tough as the receiver.
At Oklahoma State, Thurman Thomas ran the ball so much he had little schooling in catching it. But look at the screen out there. Ballard, Parker, 67, Hall out in front. This guy is so dangerous because they're all aspects of offense. Thurman Thomas is an accomplished player.
Reed. And the wide receiver to the 39. A gain of a couple. Troy Vincent stayed at home, came up to make the tackle. Brian Cox to assist. So a little wrinkle thrown into the offensive plan by Marv Levy. Andre Reed, who did carry the ball 8 times during the regular season.
This is a difficult offense to prepare for. The hurry up, the formation, the personnel they use, and the multitude of things they do out of it.
Kelly drilled, trying to hit Thomas. David Griggs, and Kelly survives his first serious hit.
Dickey was not touched by a Buffalo offensive lineman. He comes absolutely untouched. Ballard and Parker, they look inside. Actually, the offensive line was correct. Your pass protection rules go from the inside out. There should have been a hot receiver for Kelly to go to there.
9th play of this opening drive. Kelly to the tight end, McKellar, and it's going to be 4th and 8.
Awful lot of man coverage by Miami in his first series. He was open. Hobley, 29, was the defender, but again, Kelly just worked hard this week. He's missed a couple weeks of practice. You can expect him to be a little rusty in game situation.
Yeah, but that ball should have been caught. Chris Moore, who had just a few returned on the season. Scott Miller at the 9-yard line. Moore had kicked 60 times on the season. Only 22 returnables. Time up. All 3 minutes, 12 seconds. And now it's Miami starting from the 10-yard line. Richmond Webb. Another Pro Bowl for him. Sims, Ulanay, Goldberg, and Dellenbach to protect their crystal Dan Marino. He has Bobby Humphrey. Good receiver, good runner. Tony Page will do the blocking. Duper and Clayton, the Marks brothers, are outside with Keith Jackson. Freddie Banks joins them in the 3 wide. It'll be the last time that Marino throws to Clayton and Duper as a package. Strong feelings here that Clayton will be elsewhere next season. What a contrasting crowd noise. Absolute silence for Marino to get off his call. Just a couple for Humphrey against the Blue Jersey Bills. Hansen has really improved from his rookie season a year ago. Bigger, stronger, tougher, right. One of the best on the nose. Bruce Smith, an all-pro. Marcus Patton and the rest there. You saw the linebackers, and there are the secondary as well. Jackson and Darby in the dime. Second down and 8. Oh! Getting a hand on the ball, flying into the picture was Darryl Talley. The veteran Talley, the spirit of that Buffalo defense. He had studied for this moment.
He drops perfectly. Humphrey does not fool him. That's a big, big play right there. If you can take that play away from the Miami offense, you have accomplished a great deal. The receiver out of the backfield for Miami and Dan Marino is key to their success.
And if anyone knows Marino, it's Talley. This is the 26th time he's played against Marino, going back to 4 times when he was at West Virginia, and Marino at Pittsburgh rivals. On 3rd down and 8. Marino wide open is back, and he has the first down. May have fumbled. No signal yet. Rules no fumble, and it's Buffalo's ball down at the 25. Nate Odoms.
He also made the hit, Dick.
Odoms, like Kelly, a bit upset this weekend because he was not picked to the Pro Bowl. He's the alternate again, and Odoms has had some big numbers.
Banks catches it. Odoms comes from behind, pulls it away, and the 2 coaches told us that turnovers were key. First one goes in favor of the Buffalo Bills in wonderful field position.
Odoms, who played at Wisconsin, had 5 interceptions this year, has had 2 in the playoffs so far, and Fred Banks victimized.
Right. Odoms hits Banks from behind. Banks was looking to make a big play. Never saw Odoms coming at all. Big hit.
Two tight ends. Kelly down the middle. Intercepted. J.B. Brown to the 35-yard line. Oh, my.
Dick, they ran a double tight end offense with two backs. Man-to-man coverage. J.B. Brown plays it beautifully for the pick.
Miami gets it back. 10:41 left in the opening quarter.
By Honda, maker of the #1 selling car in America for the last 3 model years, the Honda Accord. By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered. By Prudential Securities, the most important thing we earn is your trust. And by Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now.
Trade off of big plays by cornerbacks. First Nate Odoms, and then the next play J.B. Brown with a reply. On the exchange, Miami gains 10 yards. Beginning at the 35, Marino. Complete at the 50-yard line to Mark Clayton, who did not catch a pass last week after 94 games in a row with a reception.
That certainly gets Mark Clayton in the game. If we go back to the interception, too, thrown by Jim Kelly, one of the great things that you'll watch is J.B. Brown is staring right at Jim Kelly. He sees him set up, breaks perfectly on the ball, and the ball is underthrown. You got to lead that receiver into the end zone, and that interception helps Miami a lot right here.
Nosed into Buffalo territory for the first time, Miami. Bobby Humphrey. Not much inside, a couple, maybe. Bruce Smith, one of those in on the tackle, and what a season again for number 78 Smith. Led the team in forced fumbles 3, led the team in sacks 14, led the team in quarterback pressures 22. Plus, he was the third top tackler on the Buffalo roster.
And he is paid the ultimate compliment by Don Shula. You have to account for him on every single play offensively.
Jackson, the tight end, stretching to close to the 41, shy of a first down. Shane Conlon, All-America at Penn State with a stop.
Watch Darryl Talley here. Here's Tony Page, known primarily as a blocker, but watch the job that Bobby Humphrey does on Darryl Talley. Talley, an excellent blitzer, and give credit to Bobby Humphrey. Picks up that blitz, so Marino's got time to make the completion.
Third down, a short 2. So far, Marino 3 for 4, 36 yards.
They like to throw from this formation, split backs.
Hands in the play, Marino shouting left and right. And he is swallowed by Bruce Smith. May have been a fumble, and Talley recovers for Buffalo. Smith makes the big play.
Dick, I'll tell you what, it's seldom that you see on a 3-step drop pressure immediately from the other side of the field, the reverse angle. Watch how quickly the pressure gets there. I mean, he sets, and Bruce Smith is all over him. Again, he gets around Sims, 69, and hammers Dan Marino to the turf.
Buffalo at the Miami 46.
Images present.
Bruce Smith down inside on Sims, the guard, and look how quickly this takes place. 1, 2, 3, Marino sets, bam. Bruce, you can't get to a quarterback much quicker than that.
Thurman Thomas after the fumble. He's got 10. He's got over 20 yards all the way to the 22-yard line. Finally, it was Oliver and Braggs in the secondary to stop Thomas. Will Wolford, the Pro Bowl tackle, leading the way.
So many ways they can run this offense at you. This time they kind of run a fold block. Wolford folds around behind the tight end, works beautifully. This is an offensive line that has never really gotten its just due in Buffalo.
24-yard play. Thomas again, ripping up the middle, and is close to another first down before David Griggs can bring him to that lush carpet.
These are big yards for Buffalo rushing. Last week, Miami held San Diego to just 70 yards rushing for the game. Thomas is doing very well here at the start.
They had only 3 first downs at San Diego rushing, and Buffalo already with 4 today. Not much this time as Klingbeil, one of the top pupils of Joe Green, the defensive line coach with Miami this year. He said, I learned more in 1 year from Mean Joe than I did my entire life.
Yeah, they share another thing in common. They have championship rings. Joe's from the NFL, Klingbeil's from the CFL.
Won the Grey Cup. Member of Saskatchewan Roughriders. Thomas hit hard by Griggs. Collier there as well. Third down and 7. Shula, Tom Olivadotti sent in a couple of extra defensive players. Kenneth Davis comes in for Buffalo. Davis, what a backup to Thomas. Thomas had carried the last 4 times. There's Davis. He had over 600 yards this season. He's had a big playoff so far.
Screen
to Davis. To the 5, to the 3. That's going to be close to a first down. Good second effort. He was hit at the 5.
Actually, we said at the outset, sometimes you need breaks. Miami defends this screen very well. The screen goes to the outside, but there are Miami defenders out there. Davis takes it straight up the field.
Marv Levy in his 7th year with Buffalo, looking for 3 straight Super Bowl trips. That's short on 4th down, and Levy says, get me the 3. Steve Christie, perfect in the playoffs on 3 tries, missed only 6 all year. And he's brought a long leg to Buffalo as well. Made 10 out of 12 beyond the 40 this season. This one just an extra point.
Dick, this is a young man that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not, I repeat, did not want to lose in Plan B. He has been a tremendous asset for Buffalo.
21-yard attempt. And the Bills lead 3-0. Bruce Smith sack and forced fumble on Marino leads to Christie's 21-yard field goal. A reminder, next Sunday the NBA returns to NBC with a double serving of great basketball action. We'll tell you about the lineup in a moment. As Steve Christie with a 3-0 Buffalo lead sends a high end-over-end kick of Aaron Craver, former Fresno State star. He had a big game against the Chargers last week. Arrives at the 26 to be greeted by 5 Bills tacklers led by Pro Bowler Steve Tasker. Now here's the lineup next Sunday, the weekend between the championship playoffs, conference, and the Super Bowl. First, you'll see Michael Jordan go into Texas against his Olympic teammate David Robinson and the Spurs of San Antonio. Then, battle between 2 of the best in the West. Jerome Kersey and the Portland Trail Blazers collide with Karl Malone, the mailman, and the Utah Jazz. Coverage 12:30 Eastern with NBA Showtime. Marino and Miami's 3rd possession, the previous 2 ending in fumbles. Marino guns it. First down at the 48 to Mark Duper. Bennett and Kelso with a tackle, 21 yards on the play.
Well, the best thing about this catch, Dick, is that now both wide receivers for the Miami Dolphins in the game. Zone coverage by Buffalo. Duper's certainly been connected with Marino for the last 10 years in grand fashion. Just finds the dead spot. Marino has time and makes the easy completion.
Duper, 511 career catches coming into the year, 59 touchdowns. Humphrey twisting into Buffalo territory, a gain of 3. In fact, Clayton and Duper, Bob, the value of these two Marks brothers for Miami, 150 touchdowns between them here in Miami. That's just regular season.
Yeah, Marino, Clayton, and Duper have to feel like triplets. I mean, their professional careers have just been so close, but look at the drought for the Marks brothers. That's why getting them involved in the game early is so key today.
Good point. 2nd down and 7. Miami trailing 3-0. 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Jackson. Henry Jones drags him down. First down at the Buffalo 38.
From behind the defense, remember the first game that Keith Jackson played as a Miami Dolphin was against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Henry Jones, the Pro Bowl tight end, safety on the tight end. Jackson has such marvelous ability. Any contact with a defensive back, he always seems to win the matchup.
That was all-pro against all-pro. Jones, who led the NFL, he was tied with Audrey McMillan, 8 interceptions. Second year, first year at safety, making the Pro Bowl. And Jackson again there as well. Marino deep. Jack Clayton off his fingertips. Covered by Jones and J.D. Williams. Clayton had a shot.
From behind the defense, you'll see to avoid the pass rush of several Buffalo Bills. Watch how closely this comes to being a completion. How about that throw? There aren't many quarterbacks in the game who can make that throw, and Dan Marino can make it consistently. Nice move by Clayton, no problem whatsoever. Dick, I did notice that Keith Jackson, after that reception, went to the sideline.
He was limping to the sideline. We'll try to bring a report on that. Left ankle is what we understand. Bobby Humphrey finds a little crease down to the 32-yard line as they work on that ankle of Jackson.
Farrell Edmonds is now taking his place, but if Keith Jackson has to stay on the bench for an extended period of time, that's a receiver they can't lose in a game like this. The inside of this Buffalo defense, its coverage, is where you want to try to exploit it.
Like so many of the athletes at this stage, a lot of nicks. In fact, Jackson didn't work out one of the days this week with a pinched shoulder. Banks and Martin are in the offense now for Marino and Miami. 4 wide. 3rd and 4. Marino captured by Cornelius Bennett. So Smith and Bennett, names well known around the league. 2 outstanding defenders are making plays early today. And let's see if Stoyanovich goes for the long field goal. Yes.
Well, already this game starting on a different tenure than last week. This is Bennett. Last week against San Diego, no sacks. Already 2 today. You see the twist up front and the sheer athletic ability of Cornelius Bennett. He's by the offensive tackle when Marino steps up. Bennett with the athletic ability to come back and get the sack.
Stoyanovich from 52. He has kicked one 58. Plenty of leg. Good. Two of the league's top kickers, Christie from 21, Stoyanovich 51.
Strong leg. Great concentration. Practices on uprights that are 8 feet apart. Those normal uprights there for the hash marks, 18 and a half feet apart. Look, he even slips and still hits at 51. That's how strong a leg he has.
Amazing. Now the former Indiana Hoosier gets Miami even. We talked last week about Marino knowing time is running out to get back to another Super Bowl, and Don Shula, I'm not sure enough will run out on him. He's here as long as he wants to be, but the man who's been in more Super Bowls than any coach. Shula would like to make it a nice round number 7.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too when you judge the success of an individual. When you look at Don Shula, forget the games that he's won, that's impressive. But the coaches that have been fired in the AFC East trying to beat this guy since he got here in the late 60s is a list of about 40 or maybe 45 coaches.
Well, since Shula came to Miami 23 seasons now, 187 coaches have worked in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's been responsible for making some of those moves.
Got it. He's got several of those coaches on his notched on his belt.
Tied at 3, just under 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Stoyanovich kicking to Lamb and Davis. Brad Lamb, former Anderson, Indiana star, to the 30. And finally bumped out of bounds across the 35. Our overhead shots today on a beautiful South Florida afternoon are from the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach. At the controls, Captain Drew Marshall from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. A day like this, I understand the good captain doesn't even want to be paid. Just loves to be floating up there and looking at the view. What a scene. And for these athletes, a long look to the West Coast in Pasadena, Super Bowl 27 on the line. Kenneth Davis. What a backup to Thurman Thomas. He's got 4 yards on first down. Dwight Collier, the rookie from North Carolina, makes the stop.
Well, the thing that concerns you with Davis in there, is there some recurrence of the injury of Thurman Thomas? Ran the ball well, but talking to Marv Levy, now that's a bad sign. When you go to the head coach, he asks, what's wrong? He didn't want to hear anything.
Give him 5 on first down. Reed. And Reed to the 50, but a flag is down. Could be roughing against Miami, as Brian Cox could have hit Kelly late. Flag was right at Kelly's feet.
Don Shula describes his defense.
Roughing the passer, 51, defense, and forced from the end of the flow, first down.
Don Shula describes his defense as aggressive, something we've been missing for years. But there has to be a point where it's over-aggressive, and, well, that's pretty close. You know, the defender has allowed that next step. I think if he had gone a little lower, he might have got away with it. But in this league, protecting the quarterback is something I agree with. I like the call.
15-yard penalty to the 35. And Mets smartly. Jeff Cross, the defender, playing inside for the first time in his career. In junior college out at Riverside of California, he was a blocking tight end. Then as a defensive end at Missouri, he was a late pick in the 9th round because he was so small, less than 250. Now he said, all of a sudden, I'm playing inside. Yeah. I got to get bigger.
Yeah, he said, I left training camp with soreness. It's never left.
He said, I still inside. I get hit both sides every play. This is Kenneth Davis, and he has a first down at the 22 of Miami. 13 more yards. Brian Cox, the tackler. Final seconds, opening quarter.
And, Dick, they can't win this matchup. They can't allow a linebacker to be covering these running backs out of the backfield. That time, Davis on Cox. Davis will win that every time.
End of one. Tied in Miami.
The pattern run by Davis. Here's the man in coverage, Brian Cox. This is a matchup that defensively Miami cannot win. You see that Cox is just waiting there for the receiver to come to him. They need a defensive back. And in this nickel package that Miami has to run against the run and shoot, you've got to have a defensive back on either Davis or Thurman Thomas out of the backfield. Cox cannot win that matchup.
And meanwhile, Buffalo, the top rushing team in the NFL this year, is averaging 5.3 a rush. That'll get it done. Thomas, not quite to the average on first down. David Griggs with the stop. Thurman Thomas back in.
So gifted, this young man. So gifted.
Well, he was the NFL most valuable player a year ago and actually had better numbers this year, and everyone feels he had a down season. Kelly to the end zone. Andre Reed can't pull it in. From our angle, that looked to be a beautiful throw.
Well, this is a matchup that Buffalo wants all day. You see Stephen Bragg's 36 on Andre Reed. Buffalo believes they can win that. That's a major concern for the Miami Dolphins. The out and up is a low percentage completion. They still almost make it for 6.
Reed comes out slot left, and Braggs moves over to cover him again. Now they're in tandem as Reed goes in motion. Thomas on the screen. Thomas, touchdown Buffalo. "17-yard play. I don't think he was touched."
Beautifully executed, sold well by the quarterback. He looks downfield knowing the screen is coming. Watch 51 Brian Cox trying to fight through there. Again, he's the coverage guy on Thurman Thomas. Beautiful blocking out front by Jim Richer, along with other members of the offensive line. This screen system that Buffalo runs, beautiful.
Steve Christie's try for point. Out of Reich's hold, and the Bills lead at 10-3. Thurman Thomas from Jim Kelly, a 17-yard play.
To you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance.
Looking out to the Atlantic and Miami Beach. Thurman Thomas's touchdown capping a 64-yard drive in 7 plays against a Miami defense that had allowed only 4 touchdowns in the last 17 quarters. Impressively done. 10-3 Buffalo. Christie spins it high. Aaron Craver. Free ball. And now the officials will have to sort it out. That ball dying in the breeze, what little there is, and Craver misjudging.
Dick, the 2 receivers back there for the kickoff were kind of arguing back and forth as to who was going to take it. That baby bounced about 30 yards, didn't it?
Miami apparently recovered.
It looks like they can't make up their mind who's going to get it. Goes right off his knee. Now remember, Aaron Craver on the injured reserve list for 10 weeks. Last week activated. This week on the kickoff return, but Miami does come up with the ball.
Craver escaping the embarrassment. James Saxon, 22, was one of the key Miami players who deflected the ball away from an oncoming Buffalo special teamer. Disaster averted for the moment. Miami trailing 10-3 from their 23. Batted in the air, intercepted. Phil Hansen, North Dakota State.
Boy, he did it all there, Dick. Got a little bit of penetration, got his hands up. Here's Hansen right here, a little bit of penetration and his hands up. He makes the hit and the catch. Now that's some reactions. What's that guy doing on defense?
That's the daily double.
Make him a receiver.
Ball to Buffalo at the 17.
This is something that teams try to do against Dan Marino. Get their hands up, pressure in his face. It's working. And the turnovers are certainly working in favor of Buffalo, too.
3 now for Buffalo, and almost 1 on the kickoff return. Flags go down as Kelly takes the snap. Jeff Frost, 91, on his back.
Ball start, left side of the line. Before the snap. 5 yards, first down.
That will serve to the crowd's interest that they perhaps helped with that false start. As you see Hansen, a farm boy from North Dakota, make that big play. About 1,500-acre farm. He says, that's where I'm going to go with my money. Put it right back into agriculture.
Guys, guys that size and that weight aren't supposed to have that kind of athletic ability, but you can find them everywhere in the NFL.
Thurman Thomas to the 15-yard line behind Jim Richard. J.B. Brown, the cornerback, makes the stop. And Thomas, in this first half, moving close to 100 yards total offense.
This is the counter. Richard, 51. Parker, 65. Thurman Thomas uses those blockers so beautifully. Miami can't stop that play. They have no chance today.
Thomas hit at the 15 by Collier, and that'll bring up third down. Thomas already with 91 yards in this opening half. Miami with a total of 70 yards of offense.
And remember, in the 2 games that the teams played this season, Dick, Thurman Thomas had a total of 87 yards rushing in the 2 games.
Trailing 10-3, big play for the Miami defense. Kelly hand delivering the audible. Thomas caught in the backfield. Larry Webster, a rookie from Maryland, a third-round pick, number 79, got him around the ankles.
Nick, I can see why they tried to put in the audible there. The Miami Dolphins come with the 47 defense. Defensive backs all over the field, including here. And they try to run a trap up the middle, but the defensive line does a good job and stops it. They're trying to take advantage of that 47 look. Couldn't pop Thurman Thomas through there.
So here's Christie with a 33-yard attempt, trying to get 3 out of Phil Hanson's interception. Dead center. Buffalo 13, Miami 3. 12 to go in the first half.
By Mazda, it just feels right. By Budweiser, the king of beers, with that fresh, pure, natural taste nothing beats a Bud. By John Newbean and Company, quality tax-free investment since 1898. And by Federal Express, for documents, packages, and freight worldwide, our most important package is yours.
With Bob Trumpy, Dick Enberg, welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium. Capacity 74,000. They set a record for a Dolphin game last week against San Diego, 71,000 plus, and they figure they're right near that 74 mark today. Only the Super Bowl a couple years ago when the 49ers rallied to beat Cincinnati with a bigger crowd. 13-3 with 12 minutes left in the half, and Kramer will take the touchback on this one. First down for Marino at his own 20. Well, we invite you to be with us tonight on NBC. Our friend Tom Brokaw with a 1-hour NBC News special from hope to history as they follow the road to the White House for the Clintons. That'll be followed by all-new eyewitness video. And don't miss the riveting NBC world premiere movie, Marked for Murder. Killer turned cop, a walking time bomb ready to explode. No man can control him, but one woman can. Marked for Murder, NBC tonight. Shula not pleased with his team's effort and may feel fortunate to be down only 10, considering the fact they've given it up 3 out of 4 possessions. Marino starts from the shotgun. 4 wide receivers. Batted down again. This time it was Bruce Smith. So they're getting in Marino's face, and that's the key to stopping the quick trigger of the Miami quarterback.
78 on 78, Pro Bowler on Pro Bowler. Smith jumps inside. There's always help for an offensive lineman or any offensive lineman on Bruce Smith, but if you can't get to Marino with that quick release, what these defensive line coaches have learned, get your hands up. Let's knock the thing away. Last 2 passes he's thrown, deflected, intercepted, deflected.
I used to block some shots there in Norfolk in high school when they won the state championship in Virginia. The block one against Marino. Has to dump it off, incomplete to Tony Page. And Marino throwing as he was falling. Darryl Talley, the linebacker, on a blitz.
Well, here's the reality for Miami. They have 3 first downs, all passing. Very little movement running the football. Don Shula in Miami does not want to get in a situation where all they can do is attempt to throw the ball. You're going right to Buffalo's strength if all you can do is throw it.
And they have the extra defensive back on. Does Buffalo on 3rd and 10 into the eyes of Girl Talley. Inside, and then the ball flops incomplete as Marino hit again as he threw. Cornelius Bennett.
And boy, is this a concession on the part of Miami. This is a trick play. Miami likes to run that flanker screen, but this time they run the out and up behind it. See 89, Martin coming for the screen. Pressure again by Bennett on the outside. Marino couldn't even get it out to him. Boy.
Trying to hit Duper on his streak down the sideline.
Miami's already gone to plan B here, Dick.
Reggie Roby, and Miami needs a long one. Oh, just good. Partially blocked by Tasker, I believe. Comes down at the Miami 41-yard line. Steve Tasker. What a little pest he is. The unlikely special team star. You'd walk right by him in the airport at the local market. Look at this play.
First guy that Marv Levy signed when he became the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. He was with Houston. He has never lamented that acquisition. He did get his hand on that punt.
Punt attempt, and in flies Steve Tasker, number 89. He played his college ball for Dennis Green at Northwestern. He has 7 career blocks now, 3 touchdowns. He's going to the Pro Bowl for the 4th time because of his superb special teams play. So leading 13-3, Buffalo starts at the Miami 39, and Kenneth Davis picks up around 7 on first down. Boy, the field position for Buffalo in this first half. Their average start in Miami territory. Well, the Dolphins beginning at their own 23.
That's it. Last week, that's exactly what we saw with Miami. They had great field position against San Diego. It's turned for Buffalo already.
It's a 31-yard difference times 4. Davis burrowing to what appears to be a first down inside the 30.
So I guess what we have to say, if you stand back and look at this football game, nothing that Miami had hoped for, planned on, is working, and everything, including even the field position, is certainly in favor of Buffalo.
Now they spotted back at the 30. That may not be quite enough. By a chain link. It'll be 3rd down. Tom Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator for Miami. Don Shula feels that this man should be deserving of some attention as a head coach in the league.
Last week he was the hero. He said that lasts until Monday morning.
Leading 13-3, a lot of options for Buffalo here. Nothing tricky, just Davis. Caught from behind. He's inside the 20-yard line. Troy Vincent's speed to make the shoulder tackle from behind.
Dick, you said a lot of options here. One of the things a play like this generally shows is where you feel your strongest offensive linemen are. They run behind House. Howard Ballard at 330-something. We're 16 in Triple E. Pushed them all over the field.
Puts the stop on Thurman Thomas on first down. Buffalo deep in Miami territory again. That's been their home this first half.
Yes, it has. And you see the bright sunshine here in Miami. You expect when you see sunshine down here, high humidity, very low humidity. This is a very comfortable day for Buffalo to play football here.
For a secondary receiver. Flag down. Touchdown to Reed if it counts. Andre Reed. But they'll bring it back, holding Buffalo.
Holding number 69 offense.
Don't make many mistakes on this offensive line. He's got the rookie Marco Coleman to cover. Dick, when you look initially here, Thurman Thomas was open, but Kelly's choice is to go for the entire thing. Now you see the right hand grabs a hold of Coleman on the jersey, and that's right in front of Bob McElwee. You see the flag on the ground.
A touchdown denied by penalty. Oops. Keith McKellar, number 84, pulled off his stance, and that'll be 5 more against the Bills.
False start. Number 84. Offense before the snap. 5 yards. Second down.
Little anxious. Almost looks like he's turning around to see if they changed the play there.
It did. So from a touchdown erased to now second down and 21 out at the 30-yard line. James Lofton, the veteran from Stanford, who now has 750 career catches in the regular season, tied with his coach Charlie Joyner for number 3 all-time, and has more yards receiving than anyone who's ever played the game. 13-8-2-1.
This is certainly getting repetitive, though. This is another great opportunity about to be squandered by Buffalo.
Thomas into the pattern, but it's to the tight end. McKellar incomplete. So the Bills with another golden opportunity on the partially blocked punt. Steve Tasker bring on the field goal unit again.
With the way they had the field position in their favor, the turnovers in their favor, to just be attempting their 3rd field goal here, you can't miss opportunities like that in a conference championship game, no matter how inept to this point the Miami Dolphins offense has been.
For Christie from Oakville, Ontario, where he was a member of Canada's Junior World Cup soccer team, a little longer this time, 38 yards. Hooked it. No good. Well, there are cheers in Joe Robbie, and there's signs of relief on that Dolphin sidelines. Down only 10. They could have been blown out in this first half.
Brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around.
Miami trailing 13-3. Humphrey, just a couple on first down, and the Dolphins have not been able to establish a running game. There's Wolford, 69, and 84 McKellar. Little distance, unable to commiserate one another. 1:15 for holding. McKellar 5 for the false start. That took Christie back to 38 yards where he missed the field goal, and Wolford's holding denied the touchdown to Reed. Christie now 2 of 3. And for Miami, still in the game despite the fact that Buffalo has been inside the 24 times this first half. This is a key series. Humphrey trying to feel his way for some yardage, but he'll be 4 yards shy of a first down. Third down coming up.
Dick, I think you can even sense from the sideline of the Dolphins here just their choice. The urgency of this particular drive for Miami to establish something. I think Walt Corey feels that, the defensive coordinator, that Shula's got to get his team in the game on this drive.
Humphrey with forward progress to the 27. It'll be third and a short 3. Keith Jackson. He's the slot on the right side. Underneath, complete to Clayton. And Clayton protecting the ball as Biscuit Bennett rips him down. First down.
Bruce Smith again on the center. This is the double sink. The ends down on the guards, trying to put that pressure in the face of Dan Marino, but they go outside. Also had a blitz coming from the outside by Kirby Jackson. Clayton finds a little spot in the zone, makes the completion.
The fourth Miami first down, all passing. Aaron Craver breaks a tackle. Breaks another. Oh, my. There's some heavy hitting by Craver. 11 yards.
Last week he emerged. 72 yards rushing. He weighs 217 pounds. You can see the strength in his legs, and Mark Kelso knows this guy will hit you.
Craver, told you, an expert in the draft. He's got it all figured out the first round this year. And he's happy he's finally figured out what to do right here in Dolphin country. He's been a disappointment the last week. Marino play action, plenty of time. Jackson unable to pull it down. Tally on the coverage.
This is coming right at you. See him crossing underneath, and Talley does a wonderful job of picking him up. Boy, when you've got a linebacker who has vision like that, can see the tight end coming across there, there's just no substitute for that. Ball thrown a little closer to him. I think Jackson makes the reception.
Buffalo 13, Miami 3. First half. 2nd and 10 from the Dolphin 45. Away from pressure. Jackson. What a throw.
Again, now Miami taking advantage of linebacker coverage on a gifted tight end like Keith Jackson. It ends up being Shane Conlon as he releases from the line of scrimmage, 58. Shane Conlon can't handle Keith Jackson in that situation, and Marino throws it beautifully.
24-yard play, the biggest by the Dolphins today. First down at the 31. Marino now hitting 50%, 7 out of 14. It's also the deepest penetration by Miami. Down by 10. The toss back to Marino, and he can't get it away. Not fooled a bit was Darryl Talley. He was waiting for it, and then Bruce Smith to finish the job.
You know, we mentioned it, sometimes you need luck. Well, Miami calls his plan to a blitz. And if the blitz is not there, Talley is not here to get Marino. Bad luck for Miami. And a good effort by Darryl Talley.
Good players seem to bring good luck.
Yes.
They call out a half apiece. Talley and Smith share the sack. And a -10 on the play. Bobby Humphrey back in on 2nd and 20. Good protection for Marino. Into a crowd, and Humphrey able to snare it. 3 bills right there, and that didn't give Marino much to shoot at, but he hit the bullseye.
It didn't discourage him from throwing it, did it? This young man with his release. Sometimes quarterbacks they fall in love with their arm, you know, and they think they can throw it between fingers, underarms. These guys nowadays, they accomplish that. I mean, you almost needed a ticket to get that ball in there, and it made it.
I bet our guest John Elway enjoyed that. That's the kind of gun that he fires through it. Miami, though, 3rd and 15. Deep. Tony Martin. Off his fingertips at the 5. J.D. Williams, the defender.
That is the 3rd ball that's bounced off the hands of Tony Martin. He's got the gloves on. They're probably a fashion statement more than a useful tool on a day like this. Marino throws it pretty darn good. But it is an incompletion.
At the 36, this would be about a 53-yard field goal attempt. Stoyanovich is not on. Roby would like to aim for the 10-yard line. Doesn't pick for the corner. He tries to parachute it, and he hit this one too hard. On the goal line, and it'll be touchback Buffalo. And the net on that one is only 16 yards. So apparently the wind blowing right to left, or Stoyanovich would have tried the field goal. High overhead today. Goodyear blimp stars and stripes. It was 1968 when the Goodyear blimp Mayflower made its postseason television debut. That was here in Miami down at the Orange Bowl.
By the way, I thought a very interesting note that Buffalo worked out at the Orange Bowl yesterday, and Frank Reich was out there, and he said, "This is where it happened. This is where that comeback win against Miami took place." I said, "Do you remember all of it?" He said, "Every split second."
Only to outdo himself with his great comeback against Houston a couple of weeks ago. Breaking tackles is Thomas. Marco Coleman, number 90, finally brings him down. Marino with a pretty good drive, but the sack on the trick play, and then Tony Martin unable to pull in the diving attempt. They come away empty. Kelly into the flat. The screen to Thomas. Oh, nice open field tackle from Stephen Braggs down low to trip up Thomas just when it appeared he was setting himself to put it in a new gear.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this play is defensible by anybody in the league. It's called the read screen. We'll try to give it to you later, but it was just beautifully executed there by Buffalo.
Kelly just reading a linebacker, deciding whether to throw it on the screen or throw downfield, huh? Here's Thomas for the first down at the 32-yard line. Collier with a stop.
And we mentioned the previous play, so much of this offense involves Thurman Thomas. His threat to do the screen, to run the circle pattern out of the backfield, to carry on the draw, to carry on the counter. He's so much a part of this offense.
And one of the reasons as he grabs Samir is the fact that Marv Levy says he's so bright he could call the plays like Kelly. He knows the entire system. Kelly caught from behind, and you just hold your fingers crossed if you're a Buffalo fan, as Kelly on that bum knee struggling with all that power chasing him down. And that takes us to the 2-minute timeout. Thank you. International news dulling a bright Sunday here in South Florida. The Buffalo Bills in command of the half, yet lead by only 10. And if you're just joining us, the opportunities have been frequent for Marv Levy's team, but inside the 20 of Miami 4 times, they came away empty once, 2 field goals, 1 touchdown. But they have been the dominant team. 2nd and 11 to Lofton. And Vincent able to get him out of bounds at the 40, where it'll be a yard shy of a first down.
That ball appeared to be tipped. It took forever to get there. This is a simple hitch pass. Vincent laying off told us that one thing Lofton taught him, you can't get up there and hand fight with James Lofton. You got to stay away from him.
He's deceptive, Lofton. He uses his hands very well. He's strong. Flag down as Davis is toppled in his own backfield, but Kelly applauding what he feels is a Miami penalty.
Encroachment, number 99, defense. 5 yards, first down.
Dick, back to that last pass, see if the completion, see if we can pick up where it's tipped. I couldn't see who got the hand on it, but it's going end over end, and Jim Kelly doesn't throw him that bad.
No, that's right. Griggs was outside, and Jeff Cross seemed to be the man pressuring inside. So the penalty against Klingbeil, giving Kelly and Buffalo the first down at the 45. Davis met rudely by Brian Cox, number 51, supported by Klingbeil and Cross.
Well, you never question as a coach a running back's choice. But watch Davis coming this way. If he keeps going outside, I think he's got a pickup. When he stops right there, he gives Cox a chance to make the tackle. Running backs should use their speed to the sideline in every instance.
Interesting, another running play on first down. Buffalo has run every time on first down today. Kelly not taking the slide, defying the defense. He is a quarterback with a linebacker's mentality.
And he's not afraid to admit it to anyone. stand up in front of you. He plays that way. He wants his toughness to show. I mean, I know there were linebackers a number of years ago who said, well, we're going to put skirts on quarterbacks. No, not Jim Kelly.
Who played his college football down here at the University of Miami. Started that great legacy run, at least, of Miami quarterbacks to the NFL.
Recruited by Howard Schnellenberger, and his quarterback coach here was a name, I think, very well known here in the Miami area, a guy named Earl Morrill. This is a guy on fire. I don't know what this guy would do without football. I mean, can you imagine what this guy would do without this game? He would be lost.
That doesn't really tell the story. 2 rushes, 7 yards. What it does tell you is that Kelly, bad knee and all, is here to take his team to the Super Bowl and is going to be defiant of anything wrong with himself physically.
Yes, this was a day he did not want to miss.
3rd down and 5. Miami using the timeout. 1:08 left in the half. It's to Thomas, and he's wide open. 1st down at the Miami 37. Boy, out of the backfield, gave a little fake inside and darted outside, wide open for 13.
The defensive back falls down. Here's the coverage man on Thomas out of the backfield, and when Thomas runs to the outside, the defensive back loses his footing, turns inside, makes a huge mistake. Braggs finally get out there to assist on a tackle. The linebacker again was Cox. They can't keep trying to do that. This offense will wear out those linebackers in coverage.
We were in San Francisco when Buffalo outscored the 49ers earlier, and they were using Thomas against those Niner linebackers effectively. Great protection. Now the long throw intercepted. Louis Oliver. Don Shula scolded him last week about his antics after the interception, and so he's much more reserved today. A big save by Oliver, who intercepted Kelly 3 times in the game up at Rich Stadium early this season.
Dick, I think the receiver also makes a mistake here. Don Beebe is the intended receiver, and he breaks inside the cornerback, which allows Oliver, the safety, to get over in coverage. You see there? The fade patterns are designed to go outside the defensive back, now inside the defensive back. See, he kind of out-tricks himself here. He goes inside, and Oliver's waiting for this one.
Kelly with a career high 19 interceptions this year. Picked off twice in this first half today.
And Dick, the bad news is the intercepting momentum puts the ball back at the 1-yard line for Miami, not a touchback.
Well, they actually put it on the 2.
Okay.
But it'd make you Dolphin fans feel any better, and Humphrey is protecting the ball out to the 5, and deep in their own end, and time running out, final minute. Don Shula probably doesn't want to take any chances.
But what about Buffalo? They did call a timeout. Yeah, if they can get Christie's got enough leg here that if they can hold him for 3 downs, they'll take another field goal. Man, if they had the opportunities in this first half. You don't get opportunities like Buffalo's had in a football game. On the road against Miami. Goodness.
Jim Kelly after the interception. Well, one good news for you about Trumpy, I've just gotten word that regardless of the outcome today, you're not going to be assigned to the interview with Kelly after the game. That, for those of you who tuned in late, and there have been false reports that there was a shouting match between my partner and Kelly yesterday. We were there to witness it all, and Kelly was not a happy camper, but it certainly was no shouting. He just has been worn down by the pressure of this week. People saying, well, should you be starting? Should Frank Reich be starting? And Bob Trumpy said your ego is your strongest point, and he took it the wrong way.
Well, it was told him the wrong way.
Told. And Marino kneels down, and Buffalo looks to the sidelines. Are they going to call a time? Apparently not. That's kind of surprising, isn't it?
What am I missing here? Why in the world wouldn't they? Oh, they're going to let it go and then call a timeout, I'll bet. They got to call a timeout.
Yeah,
here.
what good will that do? It's still 3rd down here. So apparently he didn't feel he could stop it enough times to get the punt and still have a 1-play field goal try. So This is how the half ends. Marv Levy will be happy in one sense. A very solid performance. He had the better team the first half, a 10-point lead, but it could have been twice that much. There's the gun, the end of the half. The Bills by 10. Now let's join Bob Costas for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza, where you always get great pizza plus something for nothing.